Hi, good morning, everybody. You're very welcome to this morning's webinar. My name is Manus Rooney. I'm going to introduce you as well to some of the rest of the team. So I'm Manus Rooney. I'm one of the program managers here for the Get Exporting program. And I'm introduced. Linda, do you want to introduce yourself? Actually, probably some of the audience might know you already, but I'll pass over to you.
Great, thanks, Manus. So my name is Linda Earlie. I work within Enterprise Ireland in the local Enterprise Office Centre of Excellence and working with Manus on the Get Exporting programme.
So I think Daniel, are you there as well?
Yeah, very briefly, my name is Daniel Sonneveldt, work for the New Exporters team as well. I'm actually focused on the European region and today working from our Amsterdam office.
And Diana, the
Hi,
person who keeps everything working.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Diana Cunningham. Some of you might know me. I'm the point of contact for the Get Exporting mailbox, and I'm working with Linda, Manus, and Daniel in the team.
So very good. Listen, thank you very much for joining us. That's first thing. You're very welcome to this morning's webinar. It's nice and early. It'll allow you to get on with the rest of your day pretty quickly. So just very briefly, what we're going to do today is just give you a little bit of a background to the Get Exporting program. Some of you might have experienced it or heard about it before from the pilot phase, but we're just going to give you a little bit of background to what to expect when the program goes live. So we'll share some of the insights for it, but maybe very briefly what it's all about and what it's for. I think we've designed this program really with ambition to create the next generation of Irish exporters. So if you're a business and you have the ambition to export and the drive to export, but don't know how or don't know even where to start, then this is a program for you. So this is something that we would hear quite feedback is there's a will and a desire to test your product or service overseas, but if you haven't got the sense yet, is it Germany, is it France, is it going to be the UK, the US? But this program is all about giving you the tools and tips to get that in place. So we'll go into a little bit more detail about the program later on, but I just thought give you a little overview because we'll see some other elements that'll link back to that in a few moments. So just in terms of our agenda. So the first question, and I'll lead on this one, is why exporting? And we'll quickly go into some feedback from the panel, or from the pilot phase. As I mentioned, we've gone through a pilot program, and we have some feedback we're going to try and incorporate into this as well. So from previous participants. We're going to have Daniel then talk about the route to market, a big part of decision and the strategy you take when you enter a new market. And we thought we would do this a little bit differently. We would get Daniel to, he's based in Amsterdam. He does this for a living and has been doing this for quite a long time. Give you a bit example of how this works internationally by choosing the right market. And we'll do this in a style of almost a sort of a teaser content. So this is to give you an example of some of the topics and themes we're going to discuss as part of the program itself. But Daniel will lead us through that. Linda will talk through the actual program overview and structure, the objectives, how the format, how to apply eligibility criteria, etc. And then we'll wrap up as well finally with some feedback as well, some previous participants. Okay, let's kick off. So the first question, I suppose everyone is on this call already, has this ambition to export. So, but I thought it'd be useful just to remind ourselves is why exporting is a good thing. So the main part of it is diversification. So if we look at, sorry, I'm just going to move something here. So diversification is a key driver for exporting. One is on a risk perspective, so you don't have to look back in history very long to see what happens if you're completely dependent on the Irish market. Any shocks in the local economy, any shocks in a particular sector will leave the business exposed. So there's a huge piece around diversifying and spreading out the risk of your business beyond one market and one sector. So diversification is a key driver. Also, I'd say if you're looking for investment or looking for funding, diversification is always having the business active in multiple markets is obviously a strong indicator of the strength of the business and very attractive for investors and banks, funders, etc. So increased revenue. we live in a beautiful island, but it's a small island. We have a population of 5 million. It's probably the size of the greater Birmingham area. It's probably the size of Scotland. So we're a small market. We're not, in some areas, we lead in certain markets, otherwise we are a contributor to it. So there's markets beside us, far away from us, which have much greater scale, much greater potential. So the potential to reach into those markets is across the water, for example, in the UK, that can drive some of that increased revenue. You've also got resources in the business, capital, machinery, people, and it allows you then to sweat those assets, get the most out of them, and then that's much more potential then in international markets. So enhanced knowledge. So what does that mean? So in some of the markets that we operate in, Ireland is not the center. So for example, if you're looking at the automotive industry, then you need to be selling into some of the automotive hubs. So that's going to be the Germany, certain parts of France. So some markets have that real center of excellence, and be able to really test your product and service. Then that gives you exposure to some of the best practice in some of the other centers where this is a core competence and there's an ecosystem built around it. That type of insight as well, and we would have seen that with some of the clients we would have worked with. It also informs innovation, and by working in these other areas, other centers, you'll get better messages from the market, clear messages. You'll be part of a wider sort of ecosystem, a stronger ecosystem, and that will rise all boats. So enhanced knowledge is a key one. Then finally, competitiveness. So you're effectively testing yourself against other competitors and other market players outside your home market. So it tests your business, it's stress tested, and it's not theory, it's the real life, and it builds some real resilience in your home business. So it's a great way of testing it, building that strengths, and again, it becomes much more attractive then for investors, funders, etc. And the final piece of that then is just strengthen your market position. So we all want to be number one in what we do. Going overseas allows you to test that and build that out. So why export? I suppose that's obviously the big step, and everyone I suppose on the call has taken that first step. Is I want to export. I have the ambition to do it, and yeah, how am I going to do about that? But that is clearly the kind of first step of going on that export journey. So what we're going to do is we'll just share some of the feedback from the previous participants, and we'll just drop this in throughout the session this morning. But I want to introduce you. This is Mags from Miss Rio, and she was part of the pilot program, and I'll share now some of her feedback.
I'm Mags, and I'm the owner, founder, creative director of Miss Rio Bridal. Miss Rio is an alternative bridal brand that gives women empowerment and freedom to wear whatever they want for their wedding day, to abandon societal expectations of what a bride should look like and really follow their heart. I heard about the Get Exporting program through my local enterprise office. They would send out kind of, circular emails of different events and programs and seminars that they have coming up. The value from the program was just immense. You're given the space and the direction to think about your business in a way that you've probably never thought about before. Each in-person workshop was building towards creating this export plan with your mentor. You had to examine every part of your business, from your sales channels to your marketing to logistics to what areas, what other markets that you wanted to enter, and have a good reason as to why and what path you were going to take to get there. So you came away with a really solid plan. Following the program, we embarked on an entire relaunch and rebrand of the business. What was kind of coming through during the program was that our brand positioning and even our brand colours just didn't really suit the direction that we were going in. We were about to launch a really kind of exciting collection called Daughters of Ireland. So it just brought about kind of a whole breath of fresh air into the company and excitement, you know, on the next chapter.
So listen, I hope you got a sense, and we'll see a little bit more from a participant later on in the webinar, but I hope you got a sense from it. Really interesting. That last picture there was our alumni pick. We had an event in Dublin 4. We brought together all the participants and the program partners as well, who were delivering this with the local enterprise office, Intertrade Ireland, ourselves, and Udrus na Gaeltacht. So it's a wonderful celebration of people's export journey. And yeah, the atmosphere in the room was infectious. So if we plan is to try and bottle that and keep that one going. So on to the next part of the webinar. So I want to introduce Daniel, and he's going to, as I mentioned, talk you through a piece around route to market. And again, this is going to be delivered in the style, a little bit of theory, but also sharing some of Daniel's own personal experience. But it's an indication or a flavor of what you like to expect then from the program itself. So Daniel, I'll pass over to you.
Yes, thank you, Manus, and thank you for the introduction. It was nice to see the video again of Miss Rio. I think it's always great to hear from experience from other companies who already participated in the program. Yeah, good morning again. I know, very conscious that it's early this morning, so it's probably coffee time right now in Ireland. Same over here. It's only 9:15, but still quite early, I have to say. My name is Daniel Sonneveldt again. I'm a senior market advisor for Europe. Work from the Amsterdam office, but I also obviously collaborate very closely with the colleagues from the other European offices in supporting early stage exporters in the European market. So yeah, let's have a look at the topic for today, choosing the right path, channels, strategies, and routes to market. I think really I can speak probably an hour about this topic because there's so much to say about it. But I only have 20 minutes, so I think there's a bit of a delay in the control here. Let me see. Does not work yet. Oh, now it does. Great. Yeah, let's have a look at the agenda. Yeah, first I will tell you a little bit more why market research is very important before you actually choose a route to market. We're going to have a look at an overview of different routes to markets and channels to use, very much depending also on your own company context. I'm going to apply this theory a little bit to the European context, the context I work in, of course, with many companies focusing on different European markets. And I found a case study, an Irish company, Glen Dimplex, that has chosen for different routes to markets, also in different European markets. I want to also tell a little bit more about this product, important topic called product and marketing localization, which is quite relevant in Europe. And I want to end my presentation with sharing a few of the pitfalls we encountered with working with Irish companies here in the European market when they work with a local channel partner, whether it is a distributor or an agent. And then we'll end with with a wrap up and some key lessons. So yeah, from market research to route selection. So I've been working with many companies in the past from different countries, also many different sectors, also focused on different markets. And what I learned is that internationalization is really, there's no real trick of doing this, right? I think every company follows its own unique pathway. But what I also learned is that the market research, so really understanding a market and really diving into that and test your assumption in the market you focus on is very important before you make important strategic exporting decisions. So what you can expect from the Get Exporting program, and again, I'm just, this will be like a glance for you. I cannot dive into every topic very detailed, but you will be doing some high-level market research in the beginning of the program. You will be looking at promising markets of opportunities. You will be focusing on attractiveness, of course, the size of a market, the local demand, but also the ease of doing business. How accessible is this market for you? Then you will look at these markets next to each other. You will do a comparison, and you will, because you can obviously not focus on multiple markets at the same time. You don't have the resources probably as a smaller Irish company. So you will be comparing these markets. You will be looking, of course, at size, the demand, local competition, local regulation or legislation in different markets, your pricing strategy. What about language and culture? And then you will rate these markets and make an informed decision on which is the right market for you to focus on. So you really select a market also in the context of the Get Exporting program. And then you do, let's say a more deeper research. You will really validate your product solution in the market. You will test your value proposition. And that's also the moment where you really have to also look at potential routes to market. What is the most effective and fastest way also for you to enter this market? So yeah, skipping research can risk to misaligned strategies. I've experienced it so often in the past that companies just go into the market, they start selling straight away. And of course, that's also an approach to go for. But I also learned that many companies, especially, for example, when I was working with Dutch companies in the past, they always focused on Germany. It's a neighboring market. It's very big. But yeah, often they learned that the market was not always ready yet for their smart digital solutions, because some sectors are actually a little bit more conservative. Take healthcare, for example. So yeah, these companies really tried to enter the market. They wasted quite a lot of time and expensive learnings, I would say, but then decided that the market was not the right market for them at that point, and then they moved on to another market. They could have maybe already known this when they did some additional market research in the beginning to already find out, like, hey, maybe focus on Belgium first as a market to export to. So again, in the philosophy of Get Exporting, entering a market strategically is really key to sustainable exports. It's not just about selling. There's a bit of a delay here in my slide control, but it works. Yeah, so which path to choose depends on many factors. Obviously, I don't know what company you are, what product you're selling, whether it is a product or a service, whether you're B2C or B2B. But yeah, I listed some of the factors that are quite important to choose the pathway for you to enter a market. It's obviously the target market you're focusing on, the sector and the segment you focus on, but also the local needs in the target market and their consumer buying behavior. Is it similar to your domestic market, or is it different? Are you solving a problem maybe for an industry that's also a problem in the context of the other market? Then that's great, of course. But these things you really need to find out, of course, and it's part of your market research. What about the competitive landscape? So it's always important to know who your competitors are, how you position yourself in the market, of course, but also to learn how your competitors are actually choosing their route to market. And what we also often hear from companies is that we don't have competitors. That's often, of course, great. But in reality, if that's the truth, it can also, for me, it's always a bit of a red flag, because it can also mean, like, is there actually a demand for your product solution in that market? And if there is maybe demand, if you're the first mover and you're coming from Ireland and you're going to Germany, for example, it will take a lot of time to really enter the market, because you have to educate the market as well. And that's a costly and timely, let's say, project you have to work on. Then there's regulatory compliance requirements. They might be similar in other countries, but they could also be different. You have to know about this. What about your sales process? So are you selling online or in a physical store? Or do you do it in a hybrid way? Or are you more, and this often in the B2B context, dependent on larger events, for example, international trade fairs to meet your potential buyer? So can you sell directly, or do you need a local partner like a distributor or an agent? Shipping, logistics consideration, of course, relevant. And also your marketing and promotional strategy. Can you do things in English, or do you have to translate everything from the beginning and localize all your marketing efforts from the beginning when you enter a new market? Yeah, I decided to show you a few graphs of different routes to markets. So the left one is the business to consumer context, and the other one is B2B. So I think they're quite similar. But what you will see is that in the B2C, you will talk about consumers and retailers, and in B2B, it's distributors and customers. And I think in an ideal world, it would be great, right? If you're selling something to a new market and that everybody already knows you and you understand the market and how it is organized. and that just companies know how to order your product and that you can deliver in a direct way. It would be really great, right? You have great margins, but in reality, in the new market, nobody knows you probably, and you maybe think you know the market, but you maybe just know a little bit, and there's still so much to learn about it. So if you then would like to deliver your product directly to your customer, it would actually mean that you have to do a lot of research yourself. You have to do a lot of things that are maybe necessary for the market to be compliant with your products yourself. And again, that is very time intensely, and it's often not really realistic doing all that from Ireland. So you will probably be looking at partners who can help you with that locally. And that also, of course, changes your strategy, because if you work with a partner, obviously lower margin, but you also have to train this partner, you have to manage them from Ireland, and you also have to educate them on how to sell your product in the market, etc. So I think every chosen route there has its pros and cons. There's no right and wrong there, but it's just about finding that right route for you as a company. We always say, try to aim for that first sale in the beginning. Do it yourself, because it will help you also to really get to know the market, understand your customer, understand the buying behavior and how the market is organized. And if you achieve that first sale, and it might take a while, you also have that really important first reference that is so important once you want to start scaling together with a distributor, for example. Well, so far for the theory, let's apply this to the European context. So I work with a lot of companies in Europe, and what I often see is that companies still see Europe as one market. And it is partly true, of course. There's a huge single market, but in reality, every company that internationalizes to the European continent will be entering a European market. So, and what you find out then is that language, culture is different. There are often local laws and legislations that you maybe haven't thought about or underestimated. And these are really things that you should definitely have, you should look into before starting to export to those countries. So just a few examples. If you look at Spain, it has a very strong relationship focused economy. So Spanish also really want to buy from Spanish. Germany, quite compliance heavy. There are rules for everything, often on top of the existing rules we all know. And it's very important to comply with these rules. So it's always good to look into that for the product or service you aim to sell into the German market. And if you look at the Nordics and Sweden in this case, it's a very digital economy and a strong focus on sustainability. So if you have the opportunity to sell your product through an online platform, or if you have the opportunity to do digital marketing, then the Nordics are maybe very good markets for you to start. So there again, key moves for Irish companies is for Spain, for example, start going into the market straight away, understand the local ecosystem, find a local trustworthy partner that can help you. And maybe in the longer run, if Spain is really your market, maybe even hire Spanish personnel. And if you look at Germany, if the German market comes with some add-ons when it comes to product standards that you have to comply with, or extra certifications to your product, initially navigate these regulations with a consultant who knows the sector, who's an expert in your field and can help you with this. And when it comes to Sweden, again, try to really leverage the digital there and focus on sustainability. Especially if there are some sustainable aspects to your product or service you're selling. So for this case study, I actually did a little bit of market research myself because I wanted to find an Irish company that applies different routes to markets for European countries it focuses on. And I found Glen Dimplex. It's an Irish multinational company. You might already know it. And they sell lots of different products in the field of heating, ventilation, and cooling appliances. They're quite active on the German market, and they chose to do this with a distributor agent model. It's actually the distributor that helps them with the local logistics and being compliant with the local standards in Germany. But they also work with a couple of agents that help them to focus on the more niche sectors and the necessary after sales for the high value clients. In France, you want to be local from the beginning, comparable to Spain. They work with a couple of strategic larger retailers. And these retailers also help them with their marketing communication and building their local brand in the French market, but also to adapt a few of their appliances, a few of their products to the local design that was more aligned with customer preferences. And in the Nordics, again, digital first, they sell their small appliances through online marketplaces, which is a faster and a more scalable and also sustainable way than setting up all kinds of separate entities in the different Nordic countries. So the lesson here, I think, is a successful market entry really depends on finding the right local partners, tailor your products if necessary, and also really aiming for the right channel fit. There's no one size fits all here. When we look a little bit more on the operational side of your route to market strategy, and we already touched on a few countries and the local differences in those countries, product market localization is very important. And this is not really only about translating products or marketing in the local language. It's more than that. So I think it's always important to keep in mind that I think in every country, it is appreciated if you speak or communicate in the local native language. And in some countries, it's even expected. For example, Spain, Italy, France. So I think you'll be good doing everything initially in English when you would focus, for example, on the Benelux, Belgium, and the Netherlands or the Nordics. But it will get more complicated if you focus on the larger market that I already mentioned. And you have to really start localizing everything from the beginning. Take in mind also that humor, the tone, the expressions vary by market. For example, the Dutch are very direct, but our neighboring country, Belgium, is actually more indirect in communication. And this is important for your initial context with your potential partner, but also in your marketing communications. There is a lot of European regulation, but you have to know that a lot of these regulation is implemented differently in so similarly, but also differently in every different country. So take, for example, GDPR, data protection. You'll see that Germany is way stricter with this rule than other countries. And that's something to be aware of. Also, if your product solution requires being compliant with GDPR rules. Sustainability is also a good example. You will see that the Nordics have a lot of add-ons legislation for making industries more sustainable. Customer expectations, think about payments, think about deliverables, and service norms may vary. So it's really there, again, understanding your customer. So here I think it's important to adapt your marketing to the local norms, to also localize your product to the local packaging, the local standards that exist in the market. But also, again, if you know Germany is the right market for you, you have to start there. Make sure you professionally translate your website into Germany. And also make sure if you, for example, sell your products online, that you use the right payment form. So in Europe, Klarna is actively used by consumers. But in Germany, they use SEPA, for example, as a payment tool. And in the Netherlands, Ideal. So they want to harmonize this and standardize this with a system called Vero next year. And I think that's a very good development. But up until then, you really have to take this into account. Eventually, you'll probably be working with a local channel partner because you cannot do everything. It was already mentioned from the Irish, your own domestic market. So what we learned at Enterprise Ireland and what we hear back from companies a lot is that they find a local partner and then they start working with them for 6 months or a year. And then they're actually quite disappointed because they expected more of the collaboration, they expected higher sales, and it's not really flying yet. And so they're dissatisfied. They're thinking of maybe looking at other markets or finding additional partners. But when we actually ask about how they selected the partner, how they found the partner, etc., we see that often they're not focusing on the right market, for example, or they're not working with the right partner, or they didn't really defined the criteria of their ideal partner before looking for one. Expectations were also not always realistic. You have to know that if you start working with a distributor in a country, you're not gonna start selling like crazy numbers. It takes time to claim your position in a market. And of course there are a few other reasons there as well. But I think the key lesson here is finding a partner is not instant export success. So it's not like, okay, I have a partner now and I can lean back, it's all gonna happen. No, you really have to invest in this relationship and you really have to nurture this partnership and think win-win also. How can you make your partner successful in selling more for you? And what can you do also from your position? So I think that's very important to keep in mind. Last slide, some key lessons I wanted to share with you. So choosing your market entry pathway, it's no one size fits all. Really research your market, understand your buyer, and tailor your strategy. The localization, it was mentioned, it is critical, especially in European markets. It can make or break your success. Think partnership and really define your ideal partner. How does that partner look like? And then start looking for the right partner, but also think in win-win terms. And again, this is not like a secret formula on how to do internationalization. You have to do your research, but you also have to start doing it. Go out there in the market, start lean, learn fast. And if you see a channel is not really working, iterate and change your approach. Be flexible also. I think that's very important to mention there. And there again, validate the demand in the market you're focusing on early. So if you can achieve a first sale, a first success, that's great because you have that reference, you have that proof that there is demand in the market, and then start scaling with a local partner to really grow in that market. So that was it from my side. Again, this was just a high-level presentation of what you can expect from the program, and I hope it gives you a bit of an idea. If you have any questions, feel free also to use the Q&A, and thank you for your attention. Giving it back to Manus. Or I think you already have it, Manus.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Thank you for bringing us through that. So I just asked Linda if you want to come in and just walk us through some of now into sort of the real structure and objectives of the program and the format. So Linda, I'll pass over to you.
Great. I just seem to be struggling with putting my camera on, I think, because I have control of the, see, would that work? Oh yeah, that's a bit better. So thanks, Manus, and thanks, Daniel. So yeah, I'm going to talk you through the program and the objectives of the program and just what to expect, I suppose, from the program. Just to note that the program is a national exporting and get exporting program, and it's run in partnership with Enterprise Ireland, Intertrade Ireland, the local enterprise offices, and Údarás na Gaeltachta. I think just to flag, there is a Q&A section on the webinar, so do feel free to pop in any queries or questions that you have, and we'll touch on those at the end of the webinar. As I said, the programme is done in partnership with Intertrade Ireland, so we cover, in terms of markets, because I think I saw a question, we're covering off Northern Ireland. We have Daniel who's covering the European market, Patrick is in the UK, and we have Oren who covers the US market, and these are based on where we see most of the kind of early stage exporting companies looking to export. So just... Great. So in terms of the program objectives, ultimately we're looking to support building the capability, skills and confidence to win business in export markets. And I think this really came out in the pilot phase where some of the companies had a lot of the skill set but just didn't have the confidence, and that working together and bringing that peer-to-peer learning into play in terms of a program like this really supported them in building that confidence to embark on that journey of export development. Sorry, I don't know, it's jumping. The key objectives are simplify and fast track your export journey. So with the support of our team and the program provider team, we will support fast tracking your export journey, assess the businesses and the team's export readiness. So as part of the program, we'll support you in understanding how ready you are to embark on the export journey, or what gaps need to be addressed in advance of you progressing through that export development phase. Provide a structured export journey and provide the tools and templates that will support you to do that with tailored one-to-one guidance. And I'll talk you through what that involves. Ensure that the market fit with the critical in-market insights. So we want to ensure that you're bringing in all of the market insights as early as possible in your export planning journey, so that you can clearly define what's the right market selection for you and route to market, as Daniel has talked us through there earlier. At the end of the program, we want to deliver a practical, action-oriented export plan. So we don't want this to be a plan that's left on the shelf and not actionable. We want it to be very practical, and at the end of the program, we look at working with companies on a 30, 60, 90-day action plan that you can start to implement with clear outlines of what the resource involved in that, how it's going to be funded, etc. That's all covered throughout the program. So the program as such is divided into 3 phases, similar to the pilot. However, the export development and skills capability phase has been split in 2 to support that journey. So under the export readiness phase, companies will understand what's their ambition to export. Where do they see the potential for them to export? Is there any gaps in the current company structure or strategic plan and operational capacity? So if you were to secure a large sale in the UK, do you have the operational capacity to take that on? Is the resource there to fuel that? Is there resource to do that outreach and that business development, I suppose, in new markets? And so we'll do a one-to-one export readiness assessment with you, and at the end of that you'll receive a report that will outline kind of the next steps for you. For those that are deemed, yeah, it's the right time and we should progress, the companies will be invited to the export start phase. And at this phase, companies will work through content and templates and toolkits that we will provide on the program, but also with a one-to-one advisor who will support you in developing, I suppose, phase 1 of your export plan, if you want to call it. We look at what's the right route to market for you, what is the pricing and how does that compare versus your competitors, any legal or regulatory impacts on the selected market. So we've had companies who may have 3-4 markets when they came on the pilot phase, and what we need to do as part of that is support you in refining those market selection. So at the end of this export start phase, you will have selected a priority market and understand what the pricing challenges are against your competitors, understand what the best route to market is for you, and understand how you can advance to the next phase. So after the export start phase, you will work with an in-market specialist on a one-to-one call who will review what the export market selection is telling us and determine whether there is an opportunity for you in that market or further market research needs to be conducted to progress. If after that phase it is deemed that there is an opportunity for you, let's just say in the UK or in the US, depending on your sector, then you move on to the export advanced phase. And at the export advanced stage, it goes into much more detailed planning mode. So instead of you saying, for instance, that you're looking at the, I don't know, automotive sector in the UK, you would start to build a lead generation list, look at exactly who you're going to target in those companies that you're targeting. It includes one-to-one sessions, but also pitching workshops, negotiation workshops. We look at all of your branding and marketing collateral and review, does it align with the market requirements? So if, for instance, if that's for the European market, we may need to refine some of the language in those marketing material and support you in how you can do that. Also looking at that resource and finance piece. So that will be built into this development of an overall export action plan. Consistently bringing the in-market insights and validation into those conversations so that we support you in accurately defining what your action plan will be. The third phase, once the final export action plan has been developed, is bringing that to market and testing that value proposition with the right buyers or the right experts in that market to validate whether there is a potential for you to sell, get some market feedback on what your offering is and if it resonates with those buyers in that market. And that is done through those three phases. How we're going to do this, it is a blended learning model in terms of the program. So the program provides one-to-one advice, market insights that are brought in from our program provider, but also from those 3 senior market advisors that are working in those markets, and they are working closely with the other specialists and sectors across those markets. It's done through online webinars. There will be in-person workshops, particularly in that export advanced stage, where you'll be working on pitching skills, as we said. We will provide tools and templates to support market selection, support pricing, scheduling, etc. And we will enhance on the peer learning. So a key feedback from the pilot was that companies wanted more time to kind of learn from each other, network and understand how they can build on that. So we did our alumni event just earlier in October, and we would hope to build on that as part of this program. It is a flexible and agile program, the new program design. So whilst I've talked through the 3 stages, it's important to note that at that export readiness assessment phase, we understand and identify where you individually as a company are on your export journey. So if a company is ready to advance to the export advanced stage and has some level of an export plan, that will be validated by the in-market specialist to understand, do we see the opportunity and is it clearly defined for that business, or does further market research, is that required? And if so, we will guide what stage of the program that you will go on. But we want to be as agile and flexible and get each company and business the right support at the right time in your business. So it's meeting your needs. So the question is who's always eligible to apply. So the program is open to all manufacturing or internationally traded services businesses, and that means any service business has the potential to trade internationally, irrespective of the agency. So whether you're a local enterprise office client, or a Nuaidh na Gaeltacht client, or an Enterprise Ireland client, or working with Intertrade Ireland, or even if you're non-agency affiliated, we will guide how you work through that program and the journey. The program is open to non-exporting or early exporting companies. And what we mean by an early stage exporting companies is companies who are currently not exporting or have less than 10,000 in export sales per annum to any export market, including Northern Ireland. The programme doesn't currently extend to food and drink businesses. Board BIA run an accelerated export growth programme, and companies are guided in this space to the Board BIA accelerated export programme. I think it'd be good to hear from someone who has experience of the pilot programme. So Ed Murnan from PEMCAS, they're an engineering company based in the Midwest, spoke about his experience on the pilot, and I'm just going to share that with you now.
I'm Ed Renan, the Managing Director of PEMCAS. We're an architectural and engineering firm based in Limerick. The Get Exporting programme was run over multiple face-to-face sessions. It involved quite a number of companies, I'd say maybe 25 or 30 other organisations who were travelling the same path. They started asking you why. Why do you want to do this? So it was kind of a little bit of existential kind of, who are you? What do you actually do? Where do you add value? Why do your customers do business with you? It moved on into practical things like legals and contracts, and whether you're going to be operating that market remotely, whether you need to have an actual office there with local personnel. Then it moved on to marketing, communicating the value proposition. What was new maybe to us was maybe just the particular geography that was recommended to us. We're still running an existing business. Most of our resources and efforts are going to stay running that. It's important to try and pinpoint exactly where the best opportunity is and the best chance of success ultimately will be. Being able to get that one-to-one advice with someone that's kind of been there, done that, it felt authentic. He had been operating in the market in which we were targeting a number of years himself in business, so he understood it very clearly and understood the detail. So that was invaluable, obviously. It's great to be able to draw on someone like that. We are down the road of implementing those steps, and we were delighted we were on the programme, and we would strongly recommend it.
On top of you there.
No, that's perfect.
So I think it's in the Q&A as well, and we can touch on this, but this is just how you can apply based on the details. So if you go to enterprise-ireland.com and get exporting, this will bring you to our current campaign landing page. Within that, you can see the programme partners, some detail on the programme. It will bring you through kind of what to expect in terms of the programme delivery, and you'll be able to listen back to some of the case studies or testimonials from clients who were on the programme. When you come to the landing page, you'll click here to see register interest. So anyone who is currently interested in participating in the programme, we are accepting expressions of interest for those companies, and we will be back in touch with you early in the new year then to kind of get you updated on programme start dates, etc. So when you click on the register here, you'll land on our expression of interest form. You just click on the start now, and there's 5 or 6 simple questions, just your contact details, select your agency if affiliated, and then there'll be a query on your export sales, just to understand, are you within that threshold of less than 10,000 in export sales. So that will take you through it. If people want more detail, there is learn more about the programme. And if you click through to this, it will bring you to what is provided on the programme, what can it be used for, and again, how to apply. And that brings you to the detail of these export webinars. We are hosting 3 of these webinars. So this is the first in the series. Daniel has kindly taken us through the channel strategy piece. We will be on Friday running a similar webinar, but the focus of this will be on lead generation for new exporters. And that will be led out by Patrick in our UK office. And then on the 25th of November, another webinar similar to today's, but the focus will be on pitch perfect, researching and crafting a compelling value proposition. And Owen in our US team will be talking us through that. So I'm happy to hand it back over to you, Manus, and maybe talk through some of the Q&As or questions that may have come in.
Sure, Linda. So, yeah, we have a few questions, and we're going to have about 5 minutes left, so we'll probably be able to get through these, Linda and Daniel. So, yeah, so just in terms of the housekeeping, so this has been recorded and it'll be sent to you then after the webinar itself. We talked already about the application process, selection criteria, and as Linda mentioned, we're looking at a Q1 start date. But I've one here for you, Daniel, and I suppose it touches on the theme of route to market. So somebody here, they're I suppose a practical example, they're selling direct in the Irish market. They'll probably need a different route to market going international. So how can the program practically help them understand what's the right approach for them? So how would that typically work then as part of the program?
Yeah, it's a good question. Of course, it depends on the company, the sector they're in, of course. But if they're selling directly in the Irish domestic market, it would be good to focus on a new market. Obviously, do their research. They choose a market they would like to focus on, and test if this channel strategy would also work in the market they want to enter. So it's basically about testing your assumptions, right? Like, how is the market organized? Can I deliver directly, or do I need a local partner? These are all kinds of research steps that companies will go through the program. And I think also that validation piece is very important. So we're not there sitting behind our desks and laptop thinking all these strategies and planning all this. We're actually also doing it and executing it. Make sure that we get early feedback from the market, that we know what the customer needs are, and we also understand what is the fastest and most effective way to enter a market. So it's very much about testing assumptions, researching it, and then making an informed decision.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. So, Linda, just a question here on eligibility. So, is the 10K export limit across all markets, i.e., so 10K max export to all markets, or is it just individual market?
I'm still on. Yeah. No, it's so the 10,000 is based on all export sales, so it is combined. So if you have 5K in one market and 5K in another market, it is combined export sales of 10,000. So once you have achieved that 10,000 in export sales, it would deem you ineligible for the program.
Okay, thanks, Linda. And so a question came here about the markets that we cover, specifically the US market. So I can take that one. So we are looking at, I suppose, the three main markets, and probably this is no surprise because we trade with the markets that are closest to us. So what we've seen as well through the pilot program, the UK has been the main market for most of the participants, followed by the European market and then the US. So we do have Oren based in our New York office, and then he supports on that side. But so Daniel based in Netherlands, and then we have then two colleagues based in the UK. So UK, US, and Europe is the main focus of the program. But we have dealt with the odd exception where there's other markets, and we look at them on a case-by-case basis in terms of how we can provide that in-market support. But it really depends on the proposition of your product or service. So there was a question then about the previous attendees and if we've access to the names and details of it. So there's probably two parts of that really is, so we don't have consent to share details of previous participants, but what I would say, and the point is really well made, is the experience of those previous participants. So Linda mentioned the importance of the alumni part of this. So we'll bring the participants together to share that knowledge and go on that shared journey. But as part of that as well, we'll bring back previous companies who may be a year, 2 years ahead to share some of those sort of experiences and sort of the lessons learned as well as part of that journey. So that's an important factor as part of the program as well. So let me see anything else. So I think we're pretty much, there's one or two more, but I think if we haven't got to your question, what I'd suggest is the team will get back to you by email. But otherwise, if there's any questions that you want to ask us, there's the getexporting@enterprise-ireland.com is our email address. And that we'll be able to answer any queries there. But if we haven't been able to get to your question today, we'll come back in the next couple of days with some direct feedback. So I think that brings us up quite close to 9 o'clock. I think all that's left for me to do is just to thank you for your participation. Hope that's given you some food for thought. I hope that's given you some guidelines or insights into what to expect from the program when we go live in Q1. So yeah, thank you for showing the ambition. Thank you for showing the drive to export. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you on the program early next year.
Thanks all.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Manus. Thanks, guys.
Thanks all.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Manus. Thanks, guys.